Hello everyone, I am back, and what I want to do is show you where I'm at now. So I've had people ask about, well, what about your C8 project? What's going on with it? Well, apparently what they don't realize is this is the C8 project. So the goal of this phase of the C8 project was to take the C8 to C2 conversion that I did last year and convert it into a Grand Sport. So what I did was I borrowed a C2 Grand Sport front end, and I made copies of each of the panels and then grafted them onto the copies of the C8 to C2 I built last year. So then I grafted everything together, kind of a Frankenstein, fixed issues with that previous one, and this is what we have here. So ideally, I should be able to take this front end as it sits now and go stick it onto the C8. Still have to figure out what to do about the hood, I think I'm definitely going to square off the front edge. And then I'll probably have it do the wings on the sides. But I can't really do that or decide that until it actually sits on the car. I've got to know what's under those wings. If there's nothing under them critical, I could just make the hood square or rectangular. But the problem with that is, if they ever have to work on the thing, they're going to have to take off the front end, and I really don't want to make them do that. So looks like I really have no choice but to go ahead and have those wings. It'll look a little unusual, but I think it'll be okay. Anyway, this is what I have right now. I am making replacement parts for each of these in better shape. These were rough ones, just so I could figure out where everything goes and if it's going to work and how it's going to work. And so I'm making copies of everything, except for this fender and that fender right here. These are the pieces that are going to be used, but all of the other pieces, and it's because of that special curve right through there, and I mirrored it over here, and I spent a lot of time doing that. So that stays, but the rest of it I've got copies of. I already gave the shop the nose, a complete nose, and it's got the headlight openings exactly like this. So it's an exact copy of this one. And then this was just enough so that I could get distances and spacing and all of that, so that I know whether or not this will fit on the C8. If it won't fit on the C8, then obviously we're going to have to make some changes. But like I said, I think this will fit just like it is. The guy at the body shop was saying, hey, we're going to have to widen the whole front end like 2 inches to make it fit. I don't think so. He was looking at where the tires were, and I think he's forgetting that, hey, we got a fender flare right here. That was the whole purpose of them putting the fender flare, so that it could hold wider wheels and tires. So I don't think he's right, but we will find out. Anyway, again, the hoods are over there in the corner. Here's some of the duplicate parts I've made. So this is one of the fenders, and again, all we have to have off of this is the actual fender flare itself. But I went ahead and made the whole thing just in case we need this lip right here for a hood. This is a piece off of the C2 to C8 because I'm not sure if I want to have the, I'll call it extended curve here, or if I want it to, there we go. Anyway, that would go back a little bit. But anyway, to come down, be more circular instead of curving forward at the front or slanting forward at the front. Let me know what you think. Again, I think it'll be more apparent once it gets on the car. And then I made yet another mold of basically half of the front end. And again, all I needed from this was the fender flare, but it was one of those, hey, as long as I'm making, why not go ahead and make half of it? And my goal was to make it in one piece. So I made as much as I could with one piece that could still be removed. The funny thing was, I was able to get the mold off of the front end when I made it. Required a little bit of force, but it did come off. Then I separated them and set the mold off to the side. And then somebody said something about, hey, be careful because, you know, it's 104 degrees outside. The fiberglass is going to keep on curing on you. So I immediately went and stuck the front end back on the C2. The issue is that some of the things that allowed me to pull it off would not allow me to push it back on because of the interference. You know, things, I made it kind of thin on purpose so that I could flex it a little bit, and reverse flexing turned out to be pretty difficult. I did finally get it on, but it was not easy. So normally I would pull this off. Right now it's got one layer of fiberglass mat on it, which makes it hold its shape but not be very strong. And then my plan would be go ahead and put another layer on it. Well, again, from my experience, I found out don't pull it out until you're done with it. A couple things I did differently here was I got loose fiberglass. Here we go. I bought it this way, and it's loose pieces of fiberglass. This stuff is awesome, honestly. You take your resin, while it has no hardener put in it, you put this in there and you let it soak for, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. And what happens is it soaks into the fiberglass pieces, and then it kind of makes this mixture. And you can change how much of the fiberglass you have to resin, the ratio, depending on how thick you want it. I found that 1-to-1 by volume, not by weight, because the fiberglass pieces are a lot lighter than the resin. But 1-to-1, maybe even a little less, comes out with a nice enough mixture. I want it to where, people say peanut butter. Well, I really want it to get down into the corners. So I actually mix it a little thinner than that, and then make sure that when I'm doing this, I have the mold to where gravity is going to help and flow into those spots. It requires a little more time because I can only do, like in this case, where these vents are. I had to do this side, and then let it cure enough, and then flip the thing over and do the other two sides. So again, the idea is that gravity will help me do this. So this whole thing has one layer of fiberglass mat, except for these corner areas where I reinforced it. Same thing with the fender lip right here. This is very hard to do and not get air pockets in there in between the gel coat and the fiberglass. So I filled that area. I didn't fill it completely, but I put quite a bit of that mixture inside of there, and then put the fiberglass cloth on it. Today I'm going to trim up the edges, and then I'm going to put another layer of fiberglass mat on top of most of it. There's no reason to put any more here where I've got the mixture behind it. It's definitely thick enough and strong enough. I did try cutting up fiberglass mat, and I cut it into strips thinking, oh, well, the starch that holds the strips together is supposed to dissolve with the resin. Well, it kind of does and kind of doesn't. So what I ended up with was this mixture that was more like snot. I couldn't get it thin enough to where it would actually be separate pieces, so it tended to clump, and it was very hard to spread thin and even. If I don't get it thin and even, then when I put the fiberglass mat on top of it, then I have issues with air pockets in between that and the fiberglass mat. So I decided not to use that and to go back to using the individual fiberglass pieces already cut up with no starch to worry about dissolving. So I'm going to go in today and hit the back of this to smooth out any of the high spots. Sometimes you have things that don't go exactly like the plan, like that right there. That air pocket shouldn't be there, but it is, so I can just cut it or sand it and then fix it when I redo it. Luckily it's an overlap. You can see from my black mark that the previous panel ends here, and so this has got a 3-inch overlap, so that's not critical. But anyway, I'll go ahead and smooth the inside enough so that I'm confident that when I put the next layer of fiberglass mat on, it will go on smoothly, evenly, and with no air pockets, or at least as few as possible. All right, so that's my goal for today, is to finish this. Once I finish this, then the rest of the weekend, I am going to work on fixing this. Those of you that have been keeping up know that there's a lot of issues with this part that I got. It's got places like this, like that, there, and some still keep showing up. So my goal is to, again, go back in and fix those areas. I did it already on this side. This was really bad. Along here there were a lot of air pockets. So I went in and rebuilt this with body filler so that I got a sharp edge without all of those air pockets there. And so that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the weekend, is go in and get all of this straightened out so it is essentially ready to go. All right, that's all I've got. Like, subscribe, hit the alert, hit the thanks if you want to donate, and if you don't like what I'm doing, you don't know jack. Bye.